From Hollywood, it's Paranormal Tonight. I'm Mark Summers, and now, here's your host, Dan Harary.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to From Hollywood, it's Paranormal Tonight. I'm Dan Harary, broadcasting from beautiful downtown Beverly Hills in living color. For those of you my age, I'll be 69 in a few weeks. If you remember NBC in living color, I remember when that first came out in the 60s in living color. We have a special guest today, a very good friend of mine, and I'll read his little bio and then we'll just jump right in. Captain Ron Janix has been immersed in the UFO and paranormal community for many, many years. Through working with various conferences, reading and researching, and doing hundreds of interviews, he's built up an extensive knowledge of this subject. Ron began podcasting back in 2014. Think about that. 2014. I don't think I'd heard the expression podcast in 2014. In April 2021, he co-founded the Observation Deck, an online source of information about speakers, as well as a place to host virtual events in and around the UFO community. In 2023, along with his partner, Gordon Peckrell, Ron bought the Contact in the Desert conference. Ron's latest podcast is called Beyond Contact. It's part of the iHeartRadio's Coast to Coast AM Paranormal Podcasting Network. Ron is also a founding member of the board of directors of the group I created with Steve Bassett called the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance. And just a little plug, if you're coming to Contact in the Desert, please get your tickets now. They're going fast. So Contact in the Desert this year, it's coming up soon. May 29 through June 2. May 29 through June 2. Get your tickets now. Contactinthedesert.com. Contactinthedesert.com. Get your tickets now. And I will bring in my brother, Ron Janix, right here. There he is.
Hey, my synchronicity brother. How are you?
We are synchronicity brothers. We should, you know what? We should do like t-shirts of some kind.
Oh, on the synchronicities we've had.
That would be a good show. That would really be a good show. Thank you for doing my dopey show. I appreciate it. I know how busy.
The new t-shirts in, Dan.
Oh, beautiful. I really like that logo.
Pretty cool for this year, for the Event Horizon. Yeah, we like it a lot. Just picked them up.
Who was your artist? Who's your artist for that?
A lady named Catherine does these for us, and she's done almost all of our t-shirts are done by and designed by her. They're really good.
Yeah, that's a beautiful one. So let's just jump in. For someone who's never heard of Contact in the Desert, and you've been asked this question before, someone's never heard of it, but they're sort of interested. It sounds, interesting, intriguing, but I'm not quite sure what it is. How would you describe it to the average person? What your event's all about? I would
describe it as it's most likely not what they think it is, which they typically think it's a bunch of crazy people wearing tinfoil hats talking about aliens.
Right.
And it's just not like that at all. I mean, this is more. We have dignitaries. It's an academia. We have a lot of people with PhDs, a lot of people from researching world, and it's very scientific and academic based. We do talk about a lot of these esoteric topics like aliens and UFOs and abductions and telepathy and all these kind of fringe things, but it's from a serious viewpoint. And number one, it's fun. I would put that at the top of the list. It's a fun event. Number two, it's very informative, and it gives people a really well-rounded education on this stuff. It's very rare to have an opportunity to be flooded with so much information from so many of the top experts from all over the world. So it's a very unique experience where you get to hear firsthand from these people what they think's going on with these different phenomena.
In your opinion, what would you say some of the highlights will be for this year's coming event? And the event's just in a few weeks.
I leave 2 weeks from today. Yeah.
It's here, man. It's here.
It's here. Well, there's a lot of highlights. There's so much going on. Number one, we have Josh Gates from Discovery Channel's Expedition Unknown, which is really exciting. He looks into a lot of these topics, and he's got his opinions on them. So it's going to be a lot of fun hearing from him. Ross Coulthart's been very influential in bringing this to a mainstream audience, which is I have a soft spot for that because I feel obligated to do that in some way. People outside our community should be made aware of these things, that a lot of this may in fact be real, and it's worth at least scientific investigation. So Ross Coulthart's a huge thing. And of course, Diane Hennacy Powell, you and I have talked about this. The telepathy tapes are an incredible discovery that's getting headlines, around the world. So those are the big three are the big favorites for this year.
Those are big three. Those are pretty cool. What are you besides those, Ron, what are you personally looking forward to? What are some of the, more fun gatherings? I know you have some parties, you have meet the speakers. What are some of the more, people to people?
We have a meet and greet party Friday night where you get to interact with all these different speakers, which is really fun, and it's a good opportunity. Truth is, a lot of times outside of the meet and greet party, you can interact and talk to the speakers. It's a great part of Contact in the Desert is getting to contact these people firsthand. It's one thing to see someone's YouTube video. It's another to have a beverage with them and look them eye to eye and talk about these things, so that's always fun. And we're taking some buses out into the desert, which is only about 20 minutes from the hotel, where you'll get outside the city lights of Palm Springs, and you'll be in the desert. And Mark D'Antonio and Ben Hansen are going to go out there and tell people what they're seeing in the sky. Mark's an astronomer. He's going to talk about what the space station looks like, what satellites look like, what planets look like, how to differentiate these things, how to recognize anomalies in the sky, things like that, which is really fun.
Do you have a trip to the Integratron again this year?
We have two of them. We go on Thursday and we go again on Monday. Well, Thursday is actually just to Giant Rock. Monday is Giant Rock and the Integratron. And they're not open Monday, so they're opening just for us. So it's like an exclusive look inside the Integratron. It's really cool.
That is cool. Have you ever spent time inside there?
No, I have not.
Oh, that's so funny, Ron. You got to do that, man.
I want to. I'm so damn busy at the show. I don't get to do half these things. I want to go with Mark out in the desert. I think that would be great.
You're like Ed Sullivan. You present all these incredible acts, but then you're so busy backstage, man. You don't get to enjoy any of it.
That's exactly what it is. It's kind of a sad part of this.
I've heard, from the Integratron inside, like Renee Zelnick, who's a friend of mine. She's been in there, and she's all about oral, sound healing, and they do the sound bowls in there. And she tells a story. I think she was in there with her husband. Her husband had injured he was in a motorcycle accident, and he had really messed up his hand, and he couldn't move his hand. And they went inside the Integratron for a few hours, and he comes out and he goes to Renee, look, and his hand was fine. And that's just from oral, from sonic frequency. Isn't that a good story?
That's fascinating. We do a sound bath with bowls every night at Contact in the Desert.
Doesn't Renee? I think Renee does that for you. Isn't she one of the people?
Her. Yes.
Renee Reeser Zelnick is her name.
And she does the bowls every night, and people love it.
Yeah, she's very, very cool. So you've been a prominent voice in this community now for a while. And I asked you this last time I think last year when I interviewed you, but I don't remember. How did you first get involved in this esoteric UAP, UFO, ET phenomenon? What first intrigued you about this whole phenomenon?
I've liked this since I was a kid. I've had an interest in it. I remember seeing that movie in the theaters that had like Bigfoot, the Abominable Snowman, and Loch Ness Monster all in one movie. It was like In Search of, like the movie.
Wow.
And so I loved these sorts of topics back then. And then after college, even I began listening to Art Bell, which I thought was just so interesting to me. And I couldn't understand why it wasn't like more prominent in the world, And I kind of got interested in those topics. The big thing was for me reading the two books that everybody says, which are Van Danigan's Chariots of the Gods and Whitley Strieber's Communion. I read those when they came out. I read Communion right when it came out in the 80s, and I was like, this is incredible. And I've always had an interest in the topic. And then, as things progressed over the years, luckily I was doing a podcast. It was a cannabis podcast of all things.
Oh, that's funny.
And the owner of that network, Tony Sweet, had his show, and the guy he was doing it with left. So he knew I was into these topics just as an interest. And he brought me in and we started doing that show together. And that makes you dive into it more, because when we interview somebody, I try to read their book or listen to their lecture and,
Right.
brush up on their stuff. And the more you do that, the more you go down this rabbit hole.
Tony does Tony does the Parapod Awards.
He does.
Did you submit? You if you didn't, you should.
No,
You should.
I didn't.
Yeah.
It would. I think it would even look too biased. I wouldn't.
Yeah, right. Because you guys are friends.
And I don't need a war. That's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. You're good without awards.
I am. Tony's going to come to our event this year.
Who is?
Tony. He'll come to
Oh,
contact.
good. Oh, I'd like to meet him. He and I are email friends. I've never met him in person.
He's as sweet as it can be. Yeah, he's great. He's from Granola, Kansas.
That's funny, granola. All right, so you have a podcast. I believe it's just about a year old, right? Or maybe a hair over a year.
The next show I do will be my first show into the new year. Yep, starting
Exactly
year
a
2.
year.
Right? Yep.
Beyond Contact. It's a great show. You've had the who's who of ufology on there in the last year. Without pissing anyone off, give me some of your
Really.
Give me a couple of interviews that you thought were particularly intriguing. Let's say, how about that?
I love talking to Avi Loeb. Number one, I just felt like it was such an honor to get to talk to Avi Loeb. And I just love the way he talks and the way he addresses this topic. So I thought that was fascinating. I had a lot of fun talking to Josh Gates. We just did his show. That's coming out this Friday. And I thought it was great. And it's interesting talking to him. That guy's been all over the world, So that's an interesting one. Danny's always awesome. Danny Sheehan is always informative. I got to do Richard's first interview for his new book series. That was fun. And he's always great. Yeah. He's got
Richard
3
Dolan,
books out now on USOs. That guy does his serious research, and he's a valuable member of this community. I'll tell you that.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, you pretty much. Do you have who? If you could have anyone on your show, anyone at all who's alive, obviously, right today in the world, who would be like your top 2 or 3 if you could get anybody?
God, it's a great question. I don't know. I mean, we've never really went after somebody that we didn't get. Michio would be cool. I've never tried to get him for a free podcast. That'd be fun.
Get him to Sean West.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. I'd like to get Michio. And, I even would like to get like the head of NASA or their publicity people, because it'd be interesting to see how they publicly talk about this. Because, we always hear things that people work there feel differently, but it'd be fun to hear their official position on a lot of these things.
I think my top 3 would be Eric Von Daniken. George, I would love to interview Giorgio officially, just to get his whole, we all know him from the show, but what was his life story? What was his childhood and teen years? How did he meet Eric Von? Nobody knows. I've asked people. Oh, I don't know. How did Giorgio become tight with Eric Von Daniken?
I never asked him that. I had the pleasure of interviewing him a couple times. I've interviewed Van Daniken 3 or 4 times.
You have? Okay, that's cool.
Oh, yeah. He's always great. He's always great. He's the godfather of this. I mean, he's done the work. Who's your third one?
Jacques Vallée.
Oh, yeah.
You probably had him, huh?
I have. It's been years, probably 10 years ago, I got a chance to interview him. He's very interesting. He's one of the, legendary guys in this community.
Have you interviewed Lou or David Grush or the whistleblowers?
I have on the observation deck.
Yeah.
Not Grush, because Grush was, happened
recently. Right.
But I did get the chance to interview Lou on the observation deck. I think Danny was on that show as well. It was the 2 of them.
So you've pretty much gone down. If you went down your wish list, you got him.
Yeah, I've been very lucky. I mean, I've been doing it for, whatever it's been, 11, 12 plus years now. And it just happens over time. You eventually kind of get everybody. And it's wonderful, and it's so great to get to talk to them individually. I love it.
So your first podcast was about marijuana, which I don't think I knew that. What was?
I did it with a doctor, and it was called Elevate the Conversation, and it was like,
right.
Let's talk about this with a little bit of common sense and medical, bent. But it was for fun. I mean, we joked around a lot, but it was a interesting show.
And then did that elevate the conversation morph into Observation Deck? Did it evolve into that?
No, that ended, and I did the show Truth Be Told with Tony Sweet. And then during the pandemic, when everything shut down, at the time I didn't own Contact or anything, but I was part of it. I was a host for them, and I knew the owners, and I liked them. And I was like, well, we need to bring this back. And somehow Lori Moriarty and I came up with this idea of creating an online platform to do basically Contact in the Desert online. That's how it started. And we had these little avatars, and it was hilarious, Dan. Hilarious, because you could kind of like, this is the infancy of this, but Danny Sheehan would have this big white hairdo, and he kind of looked like Danny Sheehan. And Richard Dolan could do his beard and do his glass. It looked like Richard Dolan. So those guys would come in there, and we'd have these little mini conferences or whatever. And it was very fun. Very fun.
So, I mean, you really are something of a pioneer in the modern era of podcasting.
2014, you're overstating everything as a PR agent does, but
2014, man. I honestly don't think I knew what a podcast was in 2014.
Well, it's true that we did do that early. It was just because I happened to get involved in that. You're right. That was sort of the beginning of it. And when I first went to Contact, doing interviews, there weren't other people doing it. Maybe one other guy, or Ron James would be doing something for MUFON, and there'd be one or two other guys. That's it for podcasting at Contact in the Desert, And
you had to get cleared by Victoria, the previous owner.
She invited me to do it, so that's the only reason we went. Yeah,
and you had been going personally for.
I think I started going in 2015.
Okay, so every time
in the desert, I went to the desert at least twice
before they moved indoors. Before it moved indoors, what was that like, man? It's like 132 degrees.
Oh my God, it was
sweating
crazy. It was more like Burning Man. There's something fun about it, though, being out in the desert like that, and you'd literally walk on this dirt path to the next little hut where they had another conference. Something very unique about that experience. The conference just outgrew it and got too big and too good, so they moved it to the beautiful Renaissance Esmeralda, which is awesome.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful place. It really is. I wonder, did you ever look into this? Did George Van Tassel have any children or grandchildren?
I've never looked into that. That's a brilliant question. I'd love to have them here, because basically he was the first Contact in the Desert, right out there, giant rock. They'd have people gather, and he's claimed to be an abductee. So pretty cool.
That would be something. That would be something. We should look into that for next year.
Now, you and I have had this conversation privately, Dan, and I'm not saying anything weird here, that there's a lot of these interesting guys that are the offspring of people. For example, our friend Paul Hynek is the son of J. Allen Hynek. And then we've talked to Jesse Marcel Jr. and now Jesse Marcel the third. There's a lot of these descendants of these people that kind of grew up in that family. Laura Eisenhower, they grew up with these stories, and it's interesting getting their unique perspective on these things.
I've interviewed Jesse Marcel III. Do you know the name Chanel? I think it's Chanel Shans. She's Kenneth Arnold's granddaughter. I interviewed her. Ron, next year, man. You know what? Let's do Descendants of the Legends. Kathleen Martin, who is the niece of Betty and Barney Hill. While these people are still alive, I'd love to meet Laura.
A really clever idea. I think
that'd be cool. Maybe we should do that next year. Have you met Laura Eisenhower?
Oh yeah, I've interviewed her many times.
Wow, I'd love to meet her. When I was a little kid, man, President Eisenhower. That's how old I am, Ron. When I was a little kid, it was President Eisenhower.
He's got a lot of folklore around him regarding This community, of course, that, it's all speculative, but man, if a kernel of it's true, it's pretty exciting.
There's the story that he told, his press people told the media, oh, the president has a toothache. He has to go for dental surgery. He'll be gone a few days. And apparently that was the cover story. I think he went to Holloman Air Force Base or Alamogordo, one of those, and he met with extraterrestrials on a UFO. He walked up there for an hour, signed a treaty, and then came back down.
Yeah, I mean, him going on a UFO, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's maybe
some people, some soldiers, apparently they said they saw that happen. But yeah, we should do Descendants of the Legends. Let's do that next year.
I do like this idea. I really do, because it's as close as we can get to some of these. I always love interviewing some of these older guys because, let's preserve what they've learned from their research and their experiences. And I always find it fascinating. Some of these guys have 40, 50 years of research. Stanton Friedman, I got to interview him. He was awesome. Look at all the research that guy did. My God.
Oh yeah. Oh, he resurrected the whole Roswell in the 70s. He resurrected it.
He is the guy responsible for that. Absolutely.
When I interviewed Jesse Marcel III last year, he told me a story. One day he was a little kid, maybe 8, and he's in a boat with his grandfather, the original Jesse Marcel, and they're fishing. And the original Jesse Marcel tells his grandson, Jesse III, yes, we saw extraterrestrial beings out at Roswell. Now, if that's not the greatest thing in the history of the world, nothing is, right?
Yeah, do you lie to your grandson about something like that?
No, why would you?
You don't.
Why? And all the Roswell people on their deathbeds that swore to their families, look, I couldn't tell you my whole life because I would have been killed.
I think that's compelling as well.
But this is what really happened. It's amazing to me. So few people know the truth, Ron. I'm sure you feel the same way.
I do. I really feel like it's a travesty that, and the people that what they do know about UFOs is so little. They don't really have much breadth or depth of knowledge about this subject. And I feel like it's so compelling to me. Why would somebody that was a colonel in the Army leave a deathbed confession for their granddaughter because he didn't want them to know that we were not alone? I mean, that's as compelling as it gets, man. Why would somebody do this? He's gone. They're open upon my death. Why would somebody do that? I don't think that's a hoax, because then you're really messing with your granddaughter. Who's going to do that?
Nobody.
Those type of things I find very compelling, and I find very frustrating when people just dismiss them out of hand. Well, that's not proof. No, it's not proof. But it is certainly a solid brick in the wall, if you're asking my opinion.
Right. I totally agree with you. So I think you know this. My dad worked for the Army for 45 years.
I lost you, Dan.
My father was an electronics engineer and a physicist. He worked for the Army for 45 years, top secret work. My father helped to invent drones. He told me to my face when I was a little kid, Danny, I invented drones. I'm like, that's cool, Dad. Can we get ice cream? What am I supposed to do with that knowledge, Ron? I'm 8 years old, right? I'm watching the monkeys on TV. Yeah, Dad, you invented drones. I don't know what the hell he's doing. What are you talking about?
And it's not like you see him out in the world at that time.
But after this is really a pretty interesting story. After my father died, I called my mother. She's still alive. I said, did Dad ever talk about UFOs? Because my father invented drones, radar systems, and missiles. And he went to White Sands all the time. My mother said he went there all the time. I know he went to the Pentagon to give talks. I remember when I was a kid, I'm going to the Pentagon. I don't know what that means. I'm eating my, Flintstones cereal, Captain Crunch,
right,
with Crunch berries. What the hell? Where's Dad? Mom, where's Dad? Oh, he's going to the Pentagon. I don't know what that means. So anyway, after my father died, I said, Mom, did Dad ever talk about UFOs? Because everything my father invented for the Army had to do with flying in the sky. Everything he did was about the sky. My mother told me a story after he died in 2017. I'd never heard before, Ron, as a child. She said, in the early 50s, one day your father came home from work from the fort. He worked at Fort Monmouth Army Base near Asbury Park, New Jersey, where I'm from. And he came home, and she said he was like ashen and shaking and pale and very upset. And my mother said to my father, honey, what's wrong? And my father said to my mother, I saw something today in the vault, deep in the vaults at the base. and it's above top secret, my father said, and I can never tell you or anyone as long as I live. And my mother said he walked down the hall and he was like shaking, Ron. And my mother said, Danny, your father was never the same after that day. Now,
Wow.
what did my father see? What did my father see?
Now, see,
'Cause he-
that's interesting. And Dan, how about both of us have heard anecdotally 100 of these stories that people have had relatives or parents that have these experiences that they never really talked about. What is all this?
Well, my father couldn't wait to retire and get his pension. Because like once my father hit about 40, 45, I only have 20 more years. I can get my pension. I mean, for years, Ron, my father talked about my father had to have had the most incredible NDA with the government. Let's face it, with the Army. He had to. He never told my mother, me, or my brothers, or his second wife. He never did his whole life as long as he lived. He never, ever told anyone whatever that secret was. And why? He didn't want to get in trouble. He didn't want to have lose his pension. And he once said to me, he goes, Dan, I'm a patriot. I'm an American patriot. And I helped the United States win the Cold War. That's what he said. He was proud of his work. But there was no way my father was going to say, hey, Danny, I worked with aliens from Venus. Don't tell anybody. Now, what's funny, our mutual friend, Earl Grey Anderson, who just passed away 2 weeks ago, Earl's mother, you know this, I think. And if you don't, this is fabulous. Earl's mother worked for the Howard Hughes, the man.
Yep.
And Howard Hughes used to take Earl's mother into 20-story underground top secret bases in Arizona or New Mexico. And Howard Hughes told Earl's mother, yeah, extraterrestrials are real. And, we know all about them. Because Earl's mother told Earl when he was a little boy, and Earl told the story, may he rest in peace. Yeah. When he went to school one day, he's 5 years old. Earl's at school, and he's telling his teacher and his friends, space aliens are real. My mommy told me. And they had to call Earl's poor mom, and she came, took him home in the car. And according to Earl, the mom said, Earl, do you want mommy to go to jail? Don't you ever tell anyone. Mommy will go to jail. So these things, if these are lies, these are remarkable lies.
There's two examples. Earl, I mean, there's tons of these, and it's incredible. There was a guy that just came out. His last name is Brown or something. Did you see a couple days ago a guy came out who saw a craft with the U.S. emblem on it, a flying saucer looking craft? Did you see this?
Is this the guy? Is this the former NASA doctor?
Doctor, and his last name I think is Brown, right?
It was on the WOW signal. Yeah, he's the latest.
Yes,
he's a NASA whistleblower. Yeah.
That's him. He that guy showed him this like 40 years ago, and he never talked about it. He came out now and said that he saw what he describes as a perfectly smooth UFO flying saucer looking thing, but he said it had the USA emblem.
Yeah, he just came out recently,
which really threw him.
Right.
Yeah, a couple days ago.
Right. I actually, I'm the publisher of the WOW signal. I got that from. Are you familiar with the International UFO Bureau? Have you heard of that?
That's like the very first UFO organization, like way before MUFON, I think, right?
That's right. So I became friends with a woman named Mindy Toutfest. Okay. She is the head of it now. It's in Kansas City. She's had I'm reading her book. She's had lifelong experiences with UFOs and with ghosts and paranormal her whole life. She found out a couple of years ago about, and I forget the guy's name. I forget his name. This guy in Kansas City, Ron, I think in the 50s, he was like this little tiny MUFON guy, single guy in the 50s in Kansas City, and he's going out investigating UFO sightings by himself. Along the way, he became friends with J. Allen Hynek, she told me. And then for like decades, this guy, I don't remember his name, but for decades, this guy investigated sightings and experiences, landings, all this. And he wrote everything up, took pictures, interviewed people, and he put all this stuff on. This is pre-digital, so he put all this stuff in cardboard boxes, right? Hundreds and hundreds of files in boxes. Then the guy died. Now, Mindy Toutfest, who is now a friend, she heard about this guy like 2 years ago, tracked down the widow, the guy's wife, knocks on the door, brings the bell, ding dong, the window opens. Hi, my name is Mindy. I heard about your husband. Can I talk to you? She goes, would you like all of his files? Would you like all of his records? I'm donating them to you. And she goes, what? They go in the garage. Imagine a garage filled with incredible data and boxes. And the widow goes, here, see, all yours, all yours. So Mindy has been digitizing these records from the 50s, I don't know, till maybe the early 80s.
It's incredible. Jordan Pease in his library, the Metaphysical Library, and there's a couple other libraries. What's his name? David Mailer has one, and that guy Sven from Switzerland has a giant library. These guys do that. They collect all this old data. Think about how many researchers' stuff, the kids don't want it. They just throw it on the curb. I have heard from those librarians directly that they've pulled up before and found the stuff sitting on the curb to be trashed, and they save it. And I think that's an invaluable gift to save all that data.
Yeah, that widow did a good deed. She really did a good deed. It's going to take a long time. Okay, we're going to take a little break right now. We need to hear from a very handsome fellow who's going to be talking about his book called After They Came, and we'll be right back. Hi, I'm Dan Harary, author of the sci-fi novel After They Came. After They Came tells the story of Jonathan Tuckerman, a Los Angeles man down on his luck and truly alone in life, who decides to mark his 70th birthday by drowning himself in the Pacific Ocean. Instead, he inadvertently becomes the world's Wonder Man after a pair of extraterrestrial visitors from the Pleiades appear in a giant spacecraft, pluck him from the sea, and present him to the media and the world as their ambassador to mankind. Many leading UFO researchers have embraced After They Came. Nick Pope has called the novel, quote, a delightful tale of wonder and hope. Richard Dolan adds, quote, this book is a captivating novel of benevolent alien contact. And famous alien abductee Travis Walton has said, quote, After They Came is presented in such a graphic visual style, it could serve as the basis for an entertaining film adaptation. After They Came is now available on paperback right here at Genius Book Publishing. And we're back. By the way, my book After They Came is now also available as an audiobook. It just was released as an audiobook. After They Came, print, ebook, audiobook, all available on Amazon.com. Thank you. Are you familiar with the Archives of the Impossible? Do you know about that?
Yeah, it's a conference.
It's at Rice University. It's the Archives of the Impossible. Lisa Strickland told me about it. But I think it's an archive. I think that's another big archive as well.
It is. Jordan's donated a lot of things there.
Yeah, I want to interview Jordan Pease. Have you interviewed Jordan?
Of course.
Yeah? Oh, please. Who am I talking to?
No, I didn't mean it like that. I mean, like he was our friend. I've been friends with him for a long time.
I know. Listen, you've been in this area 20 years. I'm in it 2 years. So, it's like,
who is Ron? I'm like, who is? They do great stuff.
I try to think of who is Ron Janix not interviewed. Maybe I could get someone that you have not yet got. You've gotten to everybody. You've gotten everybody.
I'm sure there's people out there. There's always somebody new, and there's always new witnesses and new cases and new discoveries. Something like Diane Hennacy Powell, that was never on my radar.
Right. Steve Bassett brought that one up.
Yeah, he did, and it's great.
Right.
Very exciting.
Yeah, that'll be cool. That'll be very cool. So, I'll be presenting a documentary from the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance at Contact June 2nd in the morning. It's called Inside Hollywood: Aliens, UFOs, and the Quest for Disclosure. You are in that one. You are in that.
Oh, cool.
We had the good fortune. We have some great people. We have Danny Sheehan. We have Steve Bassett, Britt Elders, Jimmy Church, Linda Moulton Howe, Serena Wright Taylor, Thomas Jane, you, Ron James. We have me, of course, but That's going to be pretty cool. I wrote this down. In the trailer, you have the best blurb in that trailer, and you say, let me find it. You say, "I'd love to see Hollywood actually talk to people and get the real stories." And that one sentence, Ron, is the whole mission of the Hollywood Disclosure Lens. You said it in 8 words. You said that in 8 words, and it's perfect. Tell me what you think about Hollywood. How can Hollywood help move the disclosure movement forward at this point?
I feel like, you interview a guy like Travis Walton, who's got this incredible story of potentially interacting with an alien being on a spaceship. That's not remarkable enough for you. We've got to create this whole Hollywood nonsense story around that. Why? Why not word for word out of his mouth, put that on the screen? That's compelling enough. And then that way you can say, right out of his mouth, true, instead of, well, based on a true story. Why? I don't know why it's not intriguing enough to people. I don't, that frustrates the hell out of me.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Did you ever see the Betty and Barney Hill movie from the?
I did, of course, with James Earl Jones.
Yeah, that's not a good movie. It's pretty crappy.
It's not. And it's like, again, why take these liberties? You don't have to. These stories are compelling on their own.
That's a really good point. I really like that. And Kathleen Martin told me that they never liked that movie. They thought it missed the boat,
Yep.
And then Communion with what's his name?
Again, they took a lot of liberties in there.
Christopher Walken. Yeah, remember he's like dancing with these little blue Martians?
Never happened.
I don't think Whitley Strieber was dancing with little blue Martians. That was.
But there are that I like that film though. Walken's great in it.
Me too. I love Walken. He's great.
The scene of the fingers coming around the door and then the guy peeking around, that'll keep you up at night, man.
Oh yeah. He's in bed and he's like great. He's in bed in that cabin, right? His wife is sleeping. And they're coming in and he's like, and he wakes up and he's like, what do you want? And he's kind of smiling, but he's scared to death. He's like, what's happening? Like who, what?
And then you see that beast there. My God.
That was every man. And when he's in that bed, man, that's every man. That could be you, me, my brother. That could be Bruce Springsteen. I mean, that could be, right? That could be anybody.
Hope not, man. I don't want that to happen to me.
Oh, no.
I don't think I can handle it. But why is his thing word for word right out of that book not exciting enough? That sucks.
That's such a great point. Well, the Hollywood Disclosure Lens, Stephen Bassett and I created 2 years ago, as you know, was really to get these real stories from real people in front of Hollywood producers and screenwriters, because
they can take them and then make them into this other giant story based slightly on that idea.
Well, what Paul Hynek says, which is true, Paul Hynek says Hollywood is about making money. So they're going to fictionalize and sensationalize. Because
it's not exciting enough to think that this guy met an alien, saw him in the bed, went up on a ship. Why does it have to be more? I hate the world. Yeah.
For every Whitley Strieber, Betty and Barney Hill, and Travis Walton, there's probably 1 million stories that you and I and no one ever heard of yet, right? We haven't even heard. A lot of people
that have never told their story, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
Still feel too afraid of repercussions or whatever.
Oh yeah, I get emails since I created HDA 2 years ago. I've gotten 100 emails. Hi, my name is Bill. I'm in Sweden. I saw aliens when I was 9 in the woods. I'm like, thank you for sharing, and I feel bad. I feel bad. I'm like, okay, well, this guy's probably telling me the truth. What am I supposed to do with that? Like, what am I going to do with that information? I encourage them.
All of these. What's anybody going to do with it? It's just another account,
Yeah,
and I think it adds another brick in the wall. I mean, it's more evidence, it's more testimony, but again, at the end of the day, that's all it is.
You froze there, my friend.
Yes, you too, buddy.
Ron, you're frozen. Okay, you froze up there for a second. Okay, there you go.
I did that intentionally, Dan. You
should have seen it.
It's like a dramatic.
It's like an alien walking. You're like,
I saw an alien for a split second.
Have you ever seen You've not seen a UFO personally, have you? And you're frozen again.
I don't know what's going on. All my levels are good, Dan.
Okay, now you're back. You're back. You've not seen a UFO yourself, have you?
Not really. No, I did have one experience that I think is a UFO. I did see something I couldn't understand or explain.
Is that with Stephen Greer? I think it was.
I've told you that with Dr. Greer.
Yeah,
where it was like a
light.
fireball across the sky. Yeah, but like in a flight path and silent. So that was very unique. But I've never had any other experiences at all.
Okay, and I told you this story, and I've been telling this story for a year. Last night at your event, the CE5, there was a remarkable UFO shot out of a cloud that appeared. It was a white V, brilliant white, like ice cream white, gold ribbon color through it. Looked like vanilla ice cream with caramel. And underneath, I told you this, underneath were 6 octopus suction pods underneath the V. Each of the V wings had 3, and they were clear, translucent, lit up, and Ron, they were like boom, 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 boom. They were beating like heartbeats. And I saw this with my own eyes. I swear on my daughter, this is true. And I said to myself, whatever that thing is, that's alive. This thing is alive. It was
we hear that from testimony a lot of times too, that people think some of these craft
underneath
are
it
indeed biologic themselves.
It was. It only was in there.
Did
maybe
anybody
12,
get it on film?
15-second max, and then it vanished. But we were out there for 2 hours, like Space Brothers. You know, we want to. Have you ever done a CE5? Because I saw it, man. It worked. It really did.
I'm too busy, but yeah, it is going on. Yeah, it is going on there every year. You know, we're doing a special thing this year with Chris Bledsoe. He's going to do an evening with Chris Bledsoe, who's somebody who has had a lot of experience with orbs and ships and things. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with him.
Absolutely. Will it be out in that yard near the pool, like that same area by the pool?
I call it Orion. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's where it was last year. Honest to God, Ron, it was. We were out there for 2 hours. 2 hours of looking up, nothing, absolutely nothing. And you know, your neck hurts after 2 hours. You know this. Yeah. And then the leader said, okay, if you're tired of standing, lay down on the grass. And I did. Now, I had to get up early that next morning. And this is a true story. I looked at my watch. It was 10:30. I said to myself, I swear, I said, if I don't see a UFO in the next 8 minutes, I'm going to get up and go to bed. And as soon as I said that to myself, bang, this is a cloud, and this UFO came out, and I saw it. I saw it as clear as I'm looking at you. And
were other people cheering and yelling like, "Oh my God, oh my God"?
Yeah, I think we did. I think we clapped. I think we applauded. I felt elated. You know, I've told other people this story. They've said, "Oh my God, that sounds really scary." I wasn't scared. I was like, "Wow, that was cool." That was my 4th UFO in my life, and you know what? When I first went out onto that lawn that night, I'm like, you know, you can't really. I was a total skeptic for CE5. I'm like, we can't summon a UFO. I mean, the idea of that just did not gel with me. I was open-minded to it, right? I was out there for 2.5 hours, but I'm like, there's no way this is going to happen. And when it did happen, Ron, I'm like, holy S.
People swear by it. Now, I would not be scared at all by seeing a craft in the sky at all. But if, like Whitley, I woke up and my door had these fingers come around it that were really long, and then that eye comes around the corner, that's another story. That would scare the living heck out of me, I'll tell you that.
Ladies and gentlemen, technology at its finest. Ron, you're frozen. All right, I think you're coming back. Ron, you were frozen for quite a while there.
Yeah, I couldn't see you at all. It was completely locked up.
Wow, that was odd. Okay, let's move on. You and I recently talked about how disclosure seems to be stalled indefinitely, you know, and how it may never officially happen. I had this talk with you. I had the same talk with Ron James. And I've come to believe that I don't see it anytime soon. Official.
Well, don't have this conversation with our buddy Steve,
I
because
know.
he will have a different opinion on that.
I know exactly. I don't see a president, the new pope, the king of England, Putin, or Netanyahu. I just don't see it. So, but I'm really more convinced now than ever, and you'll probably agree with this, Ron. We, the people, are disclosure. The people, the experiencers that are coming forward, more and more and more and more, and the whistleblowers, like this new guy, this NASA guy, and Grush, and Lou Elizondo, and these other, between whistleblowers who are in the know, and there's only a handful. And you know what? In retrospect, I wish my father had told me, man. I wish I knew to ask my dad at the end of his life, like, Dad, just before you go, man, tell me about aliens. Tell me you saw a UFO. Just tell me you saw you.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to be disclosure, and
I think it has to be. But I mean, a lot of people would say, well, then we've had it, because people have come forward saying this is true. What's the tipping point? What's the smoking gun, if you will, or the piece that's going to make it weighted the other way, where more people will believe? Because typically when we get a new whistleblower or a new piece of evidence, it doesn't move the needle. Believers go, oh my God, see? And non-believers go, it's just nonsense. It's just another testimony. And nothing changes. I see very few things happen that move the needle. So
right.
I'd like to see some.
Right. On May 1st, just 2 weeks ago, May 1st, in Congress, I don't remember his name, a guy was telling Congress, yeah, there are different races of extraterrestrials. Yeah, there are different races.
It's Dr. Eric Davis.
Okay. So I think he said there's the Greys, there's reptilians, there's the Pleiadian. He said 4. Now,
and
if you
Nordics.
talk to right, and if you talk to Craig Campobasso, who I asked to his face, he goes down. There's 120 races we know of. 120 races.
Dude, I've heard so many different numbers on this, and it's just so silly because it's an unknown. How can you know that definitively? I've heard 182. Somebody says 182, and it's like, well,
could be. Yeah, could
based
be.
on what? I mean, it's so hard to say.
All right, but even if there's 4, like this guy's Eric,
even if there's one,
it means there's life. There's life elsewhere. But
let's just get there. Yeah.
But that happened May 1st in Congress. This guy said there's 4 races of extraterrestrials. Why is that not the headline of the New York Times the next day? I don't think it was covered in the world. Maybe Coulthart, I'm sure, did, but no one.
Yeah, the mainstream does not cover this topic very much. It's very, very limited.
It is.
Even after our watershed 2017 year, there has not been a resurgence since. We need another really big, leap forward.
I watched David Grush live. In fact, it happened during your show that year, 2023. It happened on your last day of your show. I watched it live on my downstream, on the stream, when he testified at Congress. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. And I get the LA Times. I'm old school. I still get the print. I get the LA Times delivered to my house every day.
They make a printed version?
Yeah. I do my coffee. I walk my dog. I get my newspaper. It's like, remember The Sopranos? Remember Tony Soprano? Every morning, with his big belly and his bathrobe, he waddles and he gets his newspaper every day. And then he has his coffee and he reads his every single day. I get the paper the day after Grush. And I'm thinking, this has to be on the front page. Ron, it was page 19. It's like, this guy says maybe there's extraterrestrials. It was like 3. I'm like, really? This is not the front page of the Times? Really? You don't care that this guy swore on live TV in front of Congress, right? He swore, put his life and his wife's life in danger. This is not front page news. Whoever I call them, I think whoever runs the dark government or the black budget, whatever, I call them the descendants of Majestic 12 in a way, right? Because we all know Majestic 12 happened from Harry Truman, 1947. Well, those guys got old and died at some point. So perhaps their sons and then their grandsons and then their cousins. I think, this is my theory, and I'd love to get this researched. I think over the course of decades, it's been 80 years, the descendants of the Majestic 12 have been keeping this inner secret, like this closed circuit. You know the story about James Forrestal, right?
Yes. And I do. It is
Yeah.
easy for me to believe that if we had this kind of knowledge, that we would keep it very close to the vest, and there would be a small group of people that would hold that knowledge. That makes rational sense to me.
Right. Right. According to what I've read or heard or whatever, James Forrestal, he was the Secretary of Defense at the time under Truman, and of the Majestic 12, he was one of the 12. He said, hey, why don't we just tell the world that aliens exist? And the other 11, imagine that poor bastard Forrestal in that meeting, right? They look, what are you, crazy? What are you, nuts? And they put him in a mental hospital against his will. They put James Forrestal in a mental hospital against his will, against his family's will.
Right.
He was in there for a few days, and then he supposedly committed suicide by jumping out the window. I don't think he jumped
and
out
or
the
they threw him
window.
off the balcony. Yeah.
Something like that. Now,
Peter Robbins did a
James-
great deep investigation on this.
Oh, I'd like to talk to him about that.
It's
I
fantastic.
find that story. Forrestal, wanted to tell the world. Now, do you know who Forrestal was good friends with? JFK. Forrestal was friends with JFK. JFK, the theory goes, JFK told Marilyn Monroe in bed, hey, you know, we recovered aliens at Roswell. And that, Ron, if that's why they blew his head off, man, that would make a lot of sense. JFK knew. JFK knew. He knew. I have a fun question, and then we can wrap it up. You work your ass off year round, pretty much, on this conference, and I wish you all the best of luck for this new one. So it ends June 2nd, right? What do you do the week of June 9th? Tell me, do you go to Hawaii and relax? What do you do the week after?
I sleep.
Yeah. Do you just say, do you turn off the phone? I hope you just turn off everything and just lay.
Well, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of things to kind of wrap out. So believe it or not, we still are busy that week. There's things to wrap out and finish up and settle with the hotel and settle with the vendors. And there's things to do.
When do you, and I know you have like a post-mortem each year. You guys all go down to Mexico, I think, right?
We do that in August, and then we have a big committee and we kind of start thinking of ideas for next year's event.
So like third week of June to late July, you have like a month, like you have peace and quiet?
Yes, I do have like a month where it's not much at all. We do kind of take a breather, thank God. But by August 1st, we're in Mexico working on next year's event already, just coming up with the theme and how the tone of this event, what worked, what could be better.
So this gig that you took on is an 11-month-a-year gig.
It is.
Right?
It is. But luckily we love it, and I love the people we work with, and everybody's got their heart in this, and that's a big part of it. So it's different working, not a job, working something that you genuinely are passionate about. And, you know, as Gordon says, this is mission driven. So that makes it a little bit easier for us, even though it's a lot of work. It's a labor of love kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's very interesting how you turned this passion that you've had personally for a very long time, and you evolved it to being able to present to the world the top experts and researchers and authors in the world every year. And it's just I always admire your lineup, man. And this year the lineup is just beyond belief. It's fantastic.
I've never seen one like this personally. This sort of just kind of, we had a great thing, and then it just started building and building and building and adding, and we're like, it's out of control. This is the most exciting lineup I've ever seen for any of these kind of events. So I'm looking forward to it myself.
I agree. In the past, just real quick, did you ever go to any? You probably did. Did you ever go to an alien con in the past?
Oh yeah,
did,
absolutely. Right? They used to be in Pasadena.
Yeah,
I went to several of them. Tony and I went to probably 3 of them. Yeah.
I think I did too. I mean, that was good. I liked Alien Con. You know, it was a little bit more. It was a little more Giorgio TV celebrity-ish than yours.
It's a little too
But it was,
Comic-Con for me. A lot of people in costumes, and it's a sillier, fun celebration of aliens than our conference. But we all have our own lane, and that's fine.
Yeah. I went to the last one was 2 years ago, and then it just attendance was bad. I guess COVID. I think COVID really killed Alien Con.
COVID hurt a lot of it's very hard to put on a conference. People are under the delusion that these are big money makers. That is not the case. UFO Congress isn't around. Alien Con has gone away. Most of these conferences, it's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, I like what Gordon said. It's a mission. It's a mission, and if
it wasn't, we wouldn't have this event because nobody's going to do this as a profit thing.
Yeah,
you
work your ass off, and you're not making millions of dollars on this thing.
You're not making anything. That's not what this is about, and that's fine. I feel very happy and lucky to be in this role, and I enjoy it a lot.
It's a passion project. It's a labor of love, and something that you and Gordon love doing, and we appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
That's right.
Great, thanks. I will see you at Contact. Thank you for doing this show for me. Just stick around make sure everything gets uploaded. That's it. Thank you for watching this week's From Hollywood. It's Paranormal Tonight. I'm Dan Harary with Captain Ron Janix. We'll see you at Contact in the Desert. Get your tickets now. ContactInTheDesert.com. Don't forget. Bye-bye.